What if I told you that a single choice you make before bed could either amplify your body's ability to grow muscle, repair itself, and fall into deep, rejuvenating sleep, or block those very processes entirely? Most people think of muscle growth as something that happens in the gym, but the truth is, the real gains, the meaningful changes to your strength, physique, and metabolic health happen at night during sleep. Your body releases growth hormone, rebuilds damaged muscle fibers, and resets your nervous system. But there's a common bedtime habit, one that seems harmless, even comforting, that actually hijacks this entire recovery process. And it's not just about muscle. This same habit can impair the quality of your deep sleep, disrupt your hormone balance, and leave you waking up groggy, inflamed, and under-recovered, no matter how many hours you slept. What's the habit? It's what and when you eat in the final hours before going to sleep. Now, this isn't about shaming late-night snacking. It's about understanding how the timing and content of what we eat interacts with our circadian biology, our anabolic hormones like testosterone and growth hormone, and our sleep architecture, particularly the deep stages of non-REM sleep, where true regeneration happens. Here's what the research shows. Certain types of food, especially those high in sugar and saturated fat, can suppress deep sleep, blunt muscle protein synthesis, and increase nighttime cortisol levels. And this matters deeply if you're over 30, when your natural production of growth hormone and testosterone already begins to decline. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 powerful insights backed by neuroscience and physiology to help you optimize what you eat and when. To unlock better sleep and better muscle recovery, you'll learn what foods to avoid, what to prioritize, and a few simple science-backed protocols to implement starting tonight. And if you found value in this breakdown, if something in this speech sparked clarity, motivation, or a sense of, why didn't I know this sooner? Then here's what to do next. Like this video so the algorithm knows this content matters. Leave a comment. What protocol are you going to try tonight? I read and respond to many of them. Subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is here to help you master your biology with the best tools from neuroscience, physiology. Let's start with the core mechanisms at play and why what you eat before bed may be the reason your body isn't recovering, rebuilding, or growing the way it should. Let's start with a foundational principle. Your body isn't just a machine that runs on calories. It's a timed machine. Virtually every cell in your body, including those in your muscles, liver, gut, and brain, follows a 24-hour rhythm. These rhythms are orchestrated by a master clock in the brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which sits just above the roof of your mouth in the hypothalamus. But that master clock is only part of the story. You also have peripheral clocks in your organs, your muscles, even your fat tissue. And these clocks are influenced not just by light, but by when you eat. Here's the problem. When you eat late at night, especially high calorie, high fat, or sugary foods, you confuse these internal clocks. It's as if your body is getting a signal that it's daytime again, just as it was preparing for sleep. The result? Circadian misalignment. In a 2017 paper published in Current Biology, researchers showed that mistime eating causes internal clocks in organs like the liver and pancreas to fall out of sync with the brain's master clock. This mismatch increases cortisol, raises blood sugar, and impairs metabolic health. More relevant here, it also disrupts sleep architecture, the structure and quality of your sleep throughout the night. You may technically fall asleep, but your body remains in a state of mild stress. You experience less slow wave sleep, the deep anabolic stage of non-REM sleep, where growth hormone surges and tissue repair occurs. And you may also wake up more often, even if you don't remember it, fragmenting your sleep cycle. Have you ever eaten a heavy or sweet meal late at night and noticed your dreams felt more chaotic? or you woke up feeling like you barely slept even though you were in bed for 8 hours. That's circadian disruption in action. And it gets more serious with age. As we get older, the amplitude of our circadian rhythm weakens, meaning the signals that distinguish day from night are already softer. Mistimed eating amplifies this blurring, making it even harder for your body to get the high-quality, uninterrupted sleep that supports testosterone, muscle recovery, and cognitive performance. Here's what's happening in your brain when this occurs. Late-night eating activates your hypothalamus and digestive centers when they should be winding down. Your body raises core temperature, blood sugar stays elevated longer, and melatonin, your brain's sleep start hormone, is suppressed. In fact, a 2020 study in Nutrients found that even a modest late-night meal reduced melatonin onset by up to 90 minutes in healthy adults. So what's the fix? A simple tool to apply is this. Front load your calories earlier in the day and aim to stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. This gives your insulin and digestive hormones time to taper off and allows melatonin and growth hormone to do their work during early sleep. If you work late or train at night, you don't need to skip post-workout nutrition, but you do want to be strategic. We'll cover how in part 4 when we get into optimal bedtime nutrition. But the key message here is this. Sleep isn't just a passive state. It's a biologically complex process that relies on rhythm and timing, and the timing of your last meal can mean the difference between a night that builds muscle and brain health or a night that silently undermines them. So now that we understand the importance of when you eat, let's talk about what you eat, especially in those final hours before bed. Many people reach for comfort foods late at night. It's understandable. The day's stress is winding down, willpower is low, and the quick reward of sugar or fat-rich snacks feels soothing. But what happens inside your body and brain tells a very different story. Here's what the research shows. Consuming high glycemic or high-fat foods within 1 to 2 hours of sleep significantly impairs sleep quality and hormonal recovery. Let's start with sugar. In a randomized crossover study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, participants who consumed a high glycemic meal before bed experienced more frequent awakenings, lighter sleep, and less time in slow wave sleep compared to when they ate a low glycemic meal. Why? Rapid spikes in blood sugar lead to corresponding spikes in insulin, followed by a sharp drop in blood glucose a few hours later, often during the first half of the night when the body should be entering deep restorative sleep. That drop triggers a stress response. Cortisol, your primary wake-up hormone, rises. Your heart rate may subtly increase, and your brain, sensing instability in energy supply, becomes more active, keeping you in lighter sleep stages. Now add in dietary fat, especially saturated fat. In a 2016 study from Columbia University, researchers found that diets high in saturated fat were associated with less slow-wave sleep and more arousals throughout the night. The combination of fat and sugar is particularly disruptive because it slows digestion, raises body temperature, and keeps the sympathetic nervous system more activated, all of which are signals to the brain that it's not safe to fully let go into deep sleep. Have you noticed how you feel after a late night burger, pizza, or bowl of ice cream? You may fall asleep, even quickly, but you're far more likely to wake up feeling unrested, inflamed, or mentally foggy. That's your body telling you the recovery process was interrupted. And it's not just about how you feel. These disruptions block the release of growth hormone and reduce testosterone synthesis, both of which play essential roles in muscle repair, fat metabolism, and overall physical vitality. So what's a better approach? A simple protocol. Avoid foods high in sugar or saturated fat for at least 3 hours before bed. If you do need to eat later, say post-workout or due to a long day, choose something lower in sugar, lower in fat, and ideally rich in slow digesting protein. We'll go deeper into this in part 4, but even something as simple as a small serving of cottage cheese or a casein protein shake has been shown to improve overnight recovery rather than disrupt it. And here's the empowering takeaway. Your evening choices are not just about discipline. They're about priming your biology for performance. Just as you wouldn't blast bright light into your eyes at 11 p.m. if you wanted to sleep deeply, you wouldn't flood your body with insulin and cortisol triggers and expect it to enter restorative anabolic states. And if this insight is helping you connect the dots between nighttime eating and muscle recovery, consider subscribing. Each week, we break down neuroscience-backed tools like this to help you optimize your mind, your body, and your daily performance. Now that we've covered how sugar and fat impair sleep, let's explore something deeper. The metabolic tug-of-war between insulin and growth hormone, and why what you eat before bed might be blocking the most powerful recovery signal your body produces overnight. This next insight is one of the most misunderstood but crucial aspects of nighttime nutrition, the interaction between insulin and growth hormone. Two powerful metabolic hormones that cannot fully operate at the same time. Let's break it down. Every night, roughly 60 to 90 minutes after you fall asleep, assuming you're sleeping well, your brain triggers the largest pulse of growth hormone you'll get in a 24-hour cycle. This surge typically occurs during deep non-REM sleep, and it serves several vital functions, stimulating muscle repair, mobilizing fat stores for fuel, supporting tissue regeneration, and promoting overall recovery. Now here's the problem. Insulin, the hormone released when you eat carbohydrates or protein, directly inhibits the release of growth hormone. This means if you eat a high carb, high protein, or even moderately sized meal right before bed, you're raising your insulin levels during the exact window when your body is supposed to be fasting and allowing growth hormone to do its repair work. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed that elevated insulin suppresses growth hormone secretion by blocking the hypothalamic signals that initiate its release. In other words, insulin tells your body we're in a fed state. It's time to build and store. Growth hormone, on the other hand, says we're in a fasted nighttime repair state. It's time to restore and regenerate. The two don't play well together. It's like trying to accelerate and brake at the same time. You end up with metabolic confusion, not full recovery, not efficient storage, just diminished outcomes on both fronts. Have you ever noticed that when you eat late, even a seemingly healthy meal, you wake up feeling puffy, less defined, or sore longer than expected after a workout? That's likely the suppressed action of growth hormone and the impaired mobilization of fat as fuel during sleep. So what's the solution? Here's a practical framework. Allow for a 2.5 to 3 hour buffer between your last significant meal and bedtime. This gives insulin levels time to drop, allowing your body to enter a fasted state. And in that fasted state, growth hormone can rise naturally, doing what it was evolutionarily designed to do: repair muscle, burn fat, and reinforce cellular health. If you do need to eat later, say after evening resistance training, opt for something very low in carbs and moderate in protein, like a small serving of casein or collagen protein. These options have minimal insulin response and are absorbed slowly, providing amino acids without interfering too much with growth hormone secretion. What's happening in your brain during this fasting window is remarkable. The hypothalamus releases growth hormone, releasing hormone, GHRH. The pituitary gland pulses out growth hormone, and your body begins directing energy inward toward muscle repair, brain detoxification, and mitochondrial recovery. But that only happens if insulin isn't still flooding your system. This insight isn't just about nutrition. It's about timing your recovery. If your goal is to build muscle, burn fat, and wake up sharper and more resilient, your nighttime routine matters just as much as your workout or your diet during the day. And that includes knowing when to stop eating. This is a good moment to reflect on something. Many of the most powerful changes in our physiology don't come from doing more. They come from stopping at the right time. Stopping screen exposure, stopping late eating, stopping caffeine in the afternoon. This isn't restriction, it's precision. And precision is the foundation of peak performance. So far, we've covered what not to eat before bed. High glycemic carbs, saturated fats, and late meals that spike insulin. But what if you do need something before sleep? Maybe you've had a long day, worked out late, or you simply sleep better with a little food in your system. Here's the good news. The goal isn't to go to bed hungry. The goal is to choose foods that support muscle maintenance without disrupting sleep hormones or recovery processes. Let's talk strategy. The ideal nighttime fuel has 3 key qualities. Low insulin impact, so it doesn't suppress growth hormone. Slow digesting protein to provide amino acids over several hours. Sleep supportive properties, meaning it promotes neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin, or helps regulate melatonin. One standout option is casein protein, a slow digesting dairy protein shown in multiple studies to increase overnight muscle protein synthesis. A randomized controlled trial published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that athletes who consumed 40 grams of casein 30 minutes before bed increased strength and muscle mass significantly more than those who didn't. Why? Because casein digests slowly, feeding muscles amino acids throughout the night without causing a large insulin spike. It's the nutritional equivalent of drip irrigation, steady, slow, and sustained. Another option is cottage cheese, which is naturally rich in casein and also contains tryptophan, a precursor to serotonin, which later converts to melatonin. That makes it doubly effective, muscle supportive, and sleep friendly. You could also consider collagen protein or bone broth powder, especially if you're focused on joint repair or connective tissue health. Collagen is low in insulinogenic amino acids, meaning it won't spike insulin much, and it delivers glycine, a compound shown to improve sleep quality and reduce body temperature at night. A study in the journal Sleep and Biological Rhythms found that taking 3 grams of glycine before bed helped participants fall asleep faster, experience deeper sleep, and feel less fatigued the next day. Glycine acts as a mild inhibitory neurotransmitter, calming the nervous system and promoting restorative rest. Now, if you're someone who craves carbs before bed, here's a tool you can use. A small serving of low glycemic carbs, like a few slices of kiwi, some cherries, or a handful of oats, paired with protein can actually be helpful. These carbs assist in the conversion of tryptophan to serotonin and then to melatonin, especially if eaten 2 to 3 hours before bed. But the key is quantity and type. No heavy starches, no sugar-laden snacks, and no high-fat combinations. Here's a simple, evidence-informed nighttime protocol. 3 hours before bed, finish your last full meal 1 to 2 hours before bed if needed 20 to 30 g casein or cottage cheese, optionally paired with a teaspoon of nut butter or a few low glycemic berries. Avoid alcohol, refined sugar, and heavy fat at least 3 to 4 hours before sleep. And remember, your nighttime routine shapes your recovery quality. The food you eat doesn't just sit in your stomach, it communicates with your brain, your hormones, your muscles. When you eat precisely, you send the message, it's time to heal. If these insights are helping you rethink how you approach evening meals, I invite you to subscribe. This channel is all about taking real science and turning it into strategies you can feel in your body, in your sleep, and in how you show up every day. Now, we'll look at how caffeine, alcohol, and even healthy teas or chocolate can silently sabotage your overnight muscle recovery, even if you've nailed your nutrition. It's easy to think that if you've eaten the right foods at the right time, you've set yourself up for solid sleep and overnight recovery. But there's another layer that often gets overlooked, and it's just as critical. What you drink Caffeine, alcohol, and even so-called healthy stimulants like dark chocolate, yerba mate, or matcha can all significantly interfere with your body's ability to recover, grow muscle, and regulate sleep cycles, especially when consumed too close to bedtime. Let's begin with caffeine. Caffeine doesn't just wake you up, it actively blocks adenosine, the molecule in your brain that builds up throughout the day and creates sleep pressure. By binding to adenosine receptors, caffeine prevents you from feeling sleepy, and even if you fall asleep later, it disrupts your sleep architecture. Research from Stanford and Harvard has shown that caffeine consumed even 6 hours before bed can reduce total sleep time by more than an hour and significantly decrease slow wave sleep, the very stage where growth hormone surges and muscle repair happens. Here's what that means. You might sleep, but you won't recover. And recovery is where the transformation happens physically, mentally, and hormonally. A practical guideline from sleep neuroscientists: cut caffeine entirely at least 8-10 hours before bed. If you go to sleep at 10 p.m., that means your last cup of coffee should be no later than 12 noon. Not 3 p.m., not 5 p.m., noon. That buffer allows adenosine levels to rebound and your nervous system to begin winding down. Now, let's talk about alcohol. Despite the myth, alcohol doesn't help you sleep. When you drink alcohol in the evening, even a glass or two, several things happen. You reduce REM sleep, which is critical for emotional processing and memory consolidation. You fragment deep sleep, impairing muscle recovery and hormone production. You increase core body temperature, which is the opposite of what your brain needs to initiate quality sleep. A study in alcoholism, clinical and experimental research found that even moderate alcohol intake reduced nighttime growth hormone secretion by nearly 70% and disrupted sleep cycles for up to 5 hours after ingestion. Think about that. Nearly all of your body's prime repair window blocked by a single evening drink. Even if you feel like you sleep through the night, your nervous system is processing the toxin, not repairing your tissues. And here's a sneaky one: dark chocolate. It's packed with antioxidants and magnesium, yes, but also theobromine, a stimulant similar to caffeine. 1 ounce of 85% dark chocolate can contain 20 to 25 milliliters of caffeine equivalent stimulation. That might not seem like much, but for sensitive individuals or those eating it within 2 to 3 hours of bed, it can be enough to delay sleep onset or reduce deep sleep. Same goes for green tea, yerba mate, even some protein powders and pre-bed supplements. Many of these contain hidden sources of caffeine or thermogenic agents that elevate heart rate and increase alertness, exactly what you don't want before sleep. So here's the protocol. Caffeine, stop by 12 p.m. or at least 8 hours before bedtime. Alcohol, eliminate it entirely if you care about performance and muscle recovery. But if you must drink, stop at least 3 to 4 hours before bed, and hydrate aggressively. Chocolate, tea, and supplements. Check for stimulant content and avoid them within 4 to 6 hours of sleep. Opt for herbal teas like chamomile or rooibos instead. Every sip you take in the evening either supports or sabotages your body's ability to regenerate. Your brain doesn't just sleep, it repairs, rewires, and recharges. And your muscles don't just rest, they rebuild. The more you understand how these hidden stimulants interfere, the more you can take back control of your recovery. Up next, we'll explore a little known but powerful tool that amplifies overnight muscle growth: body temperature control. This one's a game changer. Most people focus on protein, calories, or training when they think about muscle growth. But one of the most underrated levers, especially when it comes to overnight recovery, is body temperature. The truth is, your body has a thermal set point that directly influences not just whether you fall asleep, but whether your muscles repair, your hormones balance, and your nervous system resets while you sleep. And here's the counterintuitive part. To get deeper, more anabolic sleep, you actually need to cool your core. Why? because body temperature plays a gatekeeping role in sleep architecture. Specifically, research from the University of Pittsburgh and Harvard Medical School has shown that a drop in core body temperature of just 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit is a necessary signal to transition into slow wave sleep, also known as deep sleep, the very stage where muscle tissue is repaired and growth hormone peaks. Here's what's happening in your brain and body. As night falls, your suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, the master clock in your hypothalamus, begins to shift circadian hormones. Melatonin rises. But at the same time, your body starts to lose heat through your extremities, hands and feet, in an effort to cool your core. That drop signals the brain it's time for deeper sleep stages. If your body stays too warm, whether due to a hot bedroom, a late workout, alcohol, or a heavy meal, this cooling process gets blocked. And that can cut slow wave sleep by as much as 40 to 50%, according to sleep scientist Dr. Matthew Walker. And remember, slow wave sleep is when muscle fibers are repaired, inflammation is reduced, and your immune system is recalibrated. So how do you harness this? Here are 4 powerful science-backed protocols for optimizing body temperature for sleep and muscle repair. Cool your room to 60 to 67 dE5. Studies show that this range is optimal for triggering the natural thermoregulation response needed for deep sleep. If your bedroom is too warm, your body can't offload heat efficiently, and your sleep quality suffers. Even if you're unaware of it, take a hot shower or bath 1 to 2 hours before bed. This may sound backward. How does a hot bath help you cool down? Here's what's happening. Warm water dilates blood vessels near the skin, helping you release heat more rapidly after you step out. That sudden cooling effect mimics the natural drop in body temperature and helps your brain initiate deeper sleep faster. This protocol has been shown to increase slow wave sleep and reduce sleep latency, the time that takes to fall asleep, by up to 36%. Avoid intense workouts within 2 to 3 hours of sleep. Exercise raises core body temperature, sometimes for several hours. If your body is still in a heat-elevated state from a late gym session, you may fall asleep, but your deep sleep will be diminished. Train earlier in the day when possible, or at least give your body time to cool down with light stretching, hydration, and a shower. Sleep with breathable bedding and minimal clothing. Overheating from heavy blankets or pajamas can impair thermoregulation. Opt for moisture-wicking materials like bamboo, cotton, or linen. And consider a cooling mattress or pad if you're prone to overheating at night. The goal is to help your body release heat, not trap it. Bonus, you can even sleep with your feet outside the covers. This small trick helps offload heat through one of the body's key thermal outlets and can accelerate the onset of deeper sleep. Body temperature isn't just about comfort. It's a physiological switch that determines whether your sleep is restorative or restless, whether your muscles rebuild or deteriorate. So tonight, think about more than your protein or calories. Ask, is my environment helping my body cool down enough to enter deep anabolic sleep? Because sometimes the difference between waking up tired or powerful isn't in what you did at the gym, but how well your body cooled and repaired itself afterward. Now, let's bring everything together with a final reflection and a challenge to transform how you sleep, eat, and recover starting tonight. So let's bring it all together. Most people trying to build or preserve muscle, especially after age 30, focus almost entirely on what they do at the gym. But what the neuroscience and physiology make crystal clear is this. It's what you do in the hours before bed, your nutrition, your light exposure, your thermal environment that determines whether your body repairs or breaks down. We began with a simple yet powerful insight. Certain foods, if eaten before bed, can disrupt your brain's sleep architecture and block your body's ability to grow and protect muscle. That isn't hype. It's supported by decades of research in chrononutrition, endocrinology, and neurobiology. Let's recap the 6 core scientific insights and behavioral tools you now have. Eating heavy, high-fat meals before bed delays sleep onset and triggers nighttime wake-ups. Why? Because digestion activates your sympathetic nervous system, the very system that should be winding down at night. Late night insulin spikes suppress growth hormone release, a hormone critical for muscle repair. Even healthy carbs like fruit or oatmeal can backfire if mistimed. Cortisol, the stress hormone, stays elevated when you eat too close to bed, leading to shallower sleep and morning fatigue, and that can blunt testosterone and reduce muscle protein synthesis. Melatonin isn't just a sleep hormone, it governs mitochondrial health, DNA repair, and hormonal rhythms, but it's easily disrupted by food intake, light, and stimulants. Alcohol and caffeine, even in moderate doses, have long half-lives that silently sabotage your sleep depth and recovery window. Their impact on REM and slow-wave sleep lasts far longer than most people realize. Body temperature acts as a master switch for deep sleep. And deep sleep is when your body grows muscle, regulates inflammation, and recharges your brain. Cooling your environment and timing heat exposure is a simple, powerful lesson. Now, what's the bigger picture here? Optimizing your sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's about regaining control over the systems that drive long-term strength, energy, and resilience. It's about choosing with precision how you fuel your body and brain, not just during the day, but in that critical window before sleep, when your internal systems either shift into repair mode or stay locked in stress mode. So here's your one challenge tonight. For the next 7 days, stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. No snacks, no late night protein shakes, no alcohol, just water, maybe herbal tea, and a cooling environment. Track how you feel in the morning. Notice your energy. Watch how your workouts improve. See how your focus sharpens and how your body composition begins to subtly shift. This one change, backed by decades of research, might become your most reliable, low-effort tool for muscle preservation and brain performance. And if you've found value in this breakdown, if something in this speech sparked clarity, motivation, or a sense of why didn't I know this sooner, then here's what to do next. Like this video so the algorithm knows this content matters. Leave a comment. What protocol are you going to try tonight? I read and respond to many of them. Subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is here to help you master your biology with the best tools from neuroscience, physiology, and psychology. Remember, you don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Just master the next hour before bed, because that's where your body decides, do I repair or decline? Do I wake up stronger or weaker? The science is clear, the tools are simple, and the power to change your life muscle by muscle, night by night, is entirely in your hands. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, sleep smart, recover deeply, and keep building the best version of you.